So I've been calling it the wrong thing this whole time. That's great. So I guess the trim level, I don't even know what to do. I'm gonna just start over. How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore PPF and Tint, and today we are working on a Toyota Prius Prime. Oh my gosh, I can't do it. I just can't do it today. I can't do an intro today. All right, here we go. Here we go. How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore PPF and Tint, and today we are working on a Toyota Rav4 Prime. This is the which model?
XSE.
This is the XSE, which I guess obviously has a bunch of extra painted parts here that aren't just like the matte plastic. So we're going to be covering these today. I already did a video on the bumper. I don't know, bumper will probably go up first, and then I'll add the video of these extra pieces. So basically, we're going to be covering all of the things that appear to be black. They're actually like some kind of a dark blue with a metal flake in them. And then I think we're also going to cover this part, and then, you know what, might even sneak these in for the customer over the chrome here. Do you guys cover chrome in your during your installs? I normally don't, but I'm sure, they're in the computer. Why not? Let's go ahead. We're going to start right here and then work on the rest of them. Okay. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start kind of in the corner here, but I'm also gonna make sure that this will, that we make it all the way up to this rounded edge here, and that we're lined up here. So we're just kind of gonna line this up. You can see that we've covered over where the, why did I just forget what that's called? You can see here that we've covered over where the tow hook cover goes. And that's just part of how we do our installs here so that we can wrap these in. If you want to see a video on that, we do have a video on a Porsche where I did them exactly how we do them. And you can see how that process goes. So we won't be explaining that whole thing in this video. So let's go ahead and we're going to squeegee right down this body line here. And then we'll work our way away from that, this direction. See what we've got going here. Okay, yeah, that stayed in place for a while. Got to be kind of gentle when you get down to these little edges because they will slide around on you. Yeah, it is moving just a little bit, so we'll squeegee that out and then let that rest and dry. It's kind of chilly in here today, and by chilly I mean 70 or let's see, 68 degrees, so not cold by any means, but I thought I'd add a little bit less slip to my solution, so we'll see how that works out. It's feeling a little tacky, but that might work out just great. So just lining up this top edge. Squeegee down. Let's get rid of all this now. All right, and let's see what we can do. Let's get you in here. All right, I'm gonna lift this part back up. That way we can split this finger up here. I mean, although to go back in here, let's see, yeah, I mean, I just want to split the finger up, so we're going to let's do a little bit of tack, and then let's see if we can work this down. Okay, that's tight right there, so let's see what we can do here with breaking up this finger. Much better. We'll get some more tack in those, and then what I'm going to do here is just swipe and hold, get those to stay down. All right, And then now to deal with this part, let's first get this to stick down along this body line. So only working on this, that way we're only working on this side of it. So lay that down, squeegee that out. And now that that's done with tack solution, we shouldn't have an issue with it popping back up. We're gonna go ahead and lay this in and then work our way kind of down. That tack didn't seem to do much of anything right there. Maybe I didn't have enough in there. You know, make sure you're using your other hand a lot to hold this stuff down in place. I mean, that makes a huge difference during the install. If you can just keep that stuff stuck down in place for just maybe 5-10 seconds, you'll find that you'll have a lot less areas just continually popping up on you. All right, I'm not gonna worry about the wrapping down in yet. Let's get the rest of this put on and then we'll come back and deal with the final push down underneath. Let's see. Right up here we've got a finger, so I just put some tack in there, squeegee that out. Okay, that's all looking great. Definitely gonna have some tacking, I'm sure. Oh, you know what? And this actually, the soap I'm using right now is actually from yesterday. I'm sure this hose hasn't worked all the way through the soap that was stuck in the hose overnight. So that actually is probably why this is even a bit more tacky. What stays in the line overnight in these hoses for when you're using a keg sprayer, I find that stuff loses its soap fairly quickly overnight. And so sometimes I make sure to spray those out in the morning. That way I'm working with the soap that I've mixed up in the container and just not getting as much pre-tacking at that point, which for certain installs, can be a huge problem. I mean, look, look, I just barely touched all that stuff and it just stuck right into place. So, and that's working great for this one, but there's definitely plenty of installs where you don't want that type of thing to happen. Okay, then let's get this easier part down first. Get a different squeegee here so we can work our way down into this little tiny corner. So I'm being pretty gentle on this corner. Okay, perfect. There is a little bit popping up here. Great. What can you see? Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll take the rest of this center down. And let's deal with this part now. Can you see over here? We got a little finger popping up right here. So let's go ahead and swipe and hold that over the edge. Okay. Now let's take care of this. All right, so that seemed to work pretty good as a little bit different technique than we used on the other side. I just, sometimes it's nice to try different things out and see what works better. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure all this is rinsed out with some tack solution. And then we're gonna go ahead and wrap this bottom in. Let's go across the face first, because I could see as I was kind of picking that edge back up, making sure it wasn't stuck down, that when I sprayed the, let's see here, there's actually some, you know, it's popping back up is all I'm saying, up onto the face, and we want to make sure that we get that out first. Do a little slide chomp. And you saw I took that one kind of slow, and that was just to give that material some extra time. That was just to give that material some extra time to stay stuck down. We don't want to stop, so we want to be a nice fluid motion there, but that will help the material stay down on the first squeegee. It's very small underneath there, and then it runs into this grill. The grill is sticking down, so if you just go like this and squeegee, you might just be bumping into the grill and not actually getting good pressure on this, so just keep an eye out for that. And then let's see what we can do here. Okay, and then this part, I'm just gonna wrap it over with a lot of pressure with my finger. And then we can kind of go back and double check and make sure got all the moisture out. Dry this out. It's a little silver right there if you can see that. That means that's not quite stuck down. See if we can just push that with a towel. And it kind of went down. Actually, it looks like it fully went down, so we're real good there. And then that's also going to get heat sealed in the very end, so even if it does pop up a tiny bit, it'll get taken care of later. Wrap it with our finger. Dry it out there. Okay, we're looking great. All right, which part next, huh? Let's see. I might as well just get on this the part that goes all the way across the bottom of the bumper here. Perfect. All right, and you can see here what I did when I went to go bring it over here is I actually take this part and stick it to this while it's dry, and that keeps this part from just hanging down by itself there. And that should go to somewhere right in that area. it'll probably line up with this, and then there's a piece that goes in the middle that goes all the way back on the bottom. So, all right, so on this one, I'm gonna go ahead and start over here on this side. Sorry, I took a phone call, so now this material is really tacked up. What we're gonna do is make sure that we're lined up good here and that we're lined up good on this back side. Like this here. That looks good. Okay, so right there, I'm gonna hold it in place right with my hand there. And then we'll go ahead and squeegee this part out back behind my hand. I mean, if you're looking this way, it's behind my hand. Okay. And we'll squeegee underneath. And then let's work our way across the top first, and then we'll come back and do this bottom piece. So what we need to figure out is how much stretch we need to get this lined up in place correctly. So I'm just gonna kind of hold this from falling too far down or up, and I'm gonna stretch this piece into place here, which is right there. And then that's going to put us right something like that. Another spot you can line up is this edge here. Okay, so let's come a little bit towards us here, or towards myself. Okay, and then right here we start to go over a little bit, so we're going to bring that part down and just reposition that, and then we'll continue to squeegee over to where my hand was, to where we stretched to. Okay. Pack solution in there. All the edges kind of sprayed out a little bit. And we're just going to work these fingers up. Okay, and then one more time. With a little bit more pressure. And then if they keep popping up, come back and get them with our, we'll bump them out. Bump those edges. All right, and let's make sure that we're wrapped. What does this do? Let's see how this, oh, it goes. Wow. Is that, yeah, it goes way under there. Okay. I don't know why I wasn't anticipating that, but it does go quite a ways. So let's get over this and then squeegee this out now, because there is some tension on that from when we stretched it. This is going to pre-tack really bad if we don't just get it out now. Like if we came back to try to push that out later, we're definitely going to be pulling all this underneath back up. Okay, great. All right, so from here over to here, we need to find out exactly how much stretch we're gonna need. So let's lift this up, get rid of the pre-tacking. And then let's see how this lines up. Okay, it's definitely just more positioning than stretching. Just a tiny bit of stretching there. So I'm lining this up right here, and then I'm going to hold it in place at this point. And we'll squeegee some of this out. Let's see if we can get that air bubble out of there. Not really. It got bigger actually. Okay, let's get on out of there. All right. Okay, let's try this now. And then keep an eye back here. Make sure you're not going back too far. Lightly squeegee some of this out. Just double checking. Okay, let's get some tack under there now. I didn't mean to get that all the way over here. And I blew some underneath here. Okay, back and forth, back and forth. Put some tack in there, put some slip in there, put some tack in there. Okay, let's bring this over this first lip. Oh, okay. There's something you gotta be careful of. If it's not quite stuck down, then and I mean, stuck down isn't, if it hasn't cured enough and you're too aggressive, you're gonna pop it right back up, which is exactly what I did. Okay, let's get this back up and repositioned here. Now it's just got some tack underneath there, unless it was able to pull in some slip from somewhere else. So this should actually benefit us for squeegeeing this front out. And so let's let that sit for a minute. Let's take care of this finger right here. Okay, that's looking really good now. That should have given this whole front area, or this top area, some time to cure. And then now we should be able to swipe this down. Okay, then kind of I'm still working on the face of it here. And then now what we're going to want to do is try to wrap a little bit of this under that's hanging over. And actually, you know what? I think we're going to leave that. I'm just going to spray it out. And we're going to come back to that because it's such a minor amount that it's going to be tough to get it to go underneath there and stick while it's still got so much moisture in it. Well, let's just try it and see what happens, huh? Okay. All right, so we're actually going underneath there just a little bit, but if you can see that in the camera, let's see, what are you looking at? You can see it's still popping up, but we'll get back to that later. That'll also be something that could just be taken care of during the heat sealing of the edges. All right, so on this one, what I'm gonna do, because we're kind of coming at this a different way this time. Last time we started back in here. This time we're gonna be starting over here. So let's go ahead and stretch into place right here for starters. Make sure we're not hanging over that top edge. Put a little pressure on this edge with my thumb, and then that gave it a little pre-tack right there, so it'll stay in place. Okay, and then a little tack in this top part so this stuff will all stay down. Alright, I pushed a little too hard and this slid around on me. This is why I did get rid of some of the soap in my solution today, because it is a bit chillier here in the shop, and that tends to make the adhesive a little less aggressive, which then if you adjust your soap mixture, you should be kind of around what you would normally be around. Alright, so we're going to leave this part just for a moment underneath until we get the rest of this stretched, and then we'll take care of that bottom part. So from right here to here, we need to stretch this little relief cut into place. That looks pretty good. You also want to keep an eye back here, make sure you're not hanging over the edge and that you're lined up good on the top. Let's go ahead and get some of this squeegeed out. That looks good, so we'll squeegee this down. And underneath. Okay. This edge is popping up a little bit right there on the corner, so I'm gonna put a little tack in there. Convince that to stay down. Great. Let's take care of this finger here. First we want to make sure this face is kind of stuck down, and then we'll work our way up here. Bump it out. Looks like it's going to stay down this time. There was a little finger right there that kept popping back up. Looks good now though. Alright, so let's get underneath here now. Let's see if I can. I don't know if we can get you down this low, but let's see. Great. Now I'll take care of this bottom part here. I think I'm gonna have to sit on the ground for this one. We're getting too low and it's hard to lean over like that. Let me get this floor mopped up a little bit or squeegeed off. All right, so I love that squeegee thing. It does a great job. I think I bumped this with the moving blanket when I laid it on the ground, so I'm just double checking, see if I can feel anything stuck to it. You know, getting rid of some of that water off the floor just makes it so that I'm not sitting in it and this mover's blanket isn't just soaking up a bunch of water and then I got a wet butt. Nobody wants a wet butt. Just trying to get an idea of how much stretching we need to do here. Okay, let's call that really good. Not just good, really good. Okay. And we'll squeegee out the face of that, and then we'll let that rest for a moment, and then we'll get all the edges. Let's take care of this over here. That is going to be very interesting to try and get that out. It's a little tight, a little bit of fingers in a tight area. So, okay, we've got that squeegeed on. Let's go ahead and get some tack in there, and we'll work on getting this tack down. I'm going to start over here. Let's get that guy down, and then we'll work our way around. Squeegee this out on the bottom. Okay. And now let's get this all stuck down. All right, let's see what we can do with this now. Oh, look at those. Look at those fingers. Let's see if we can kind of tilt them this direction and see if we can bring them away from that area a little bit. Not bad though, not bad at all, I'd say. That one's not good though. Okay, we need to get that one more expanded away from that area. Okay. Great. Okay, that went down actually really well. Let's finish getting this part down all the way up to here. Okay, terrific. Let's go do the other side. Actually, who knows? Maybe I won't show the other side. Kind of repetitive. Okay. So we are an extra piece here, which I'm not a huge fan of. These should have been one piece instead of three. Just my opinion. All right, so I'm just kind of placing this, squeegeeing it, and just being pretty gentle. Get some tack solution underneath there, and then we'll put a little bit squeegee on this again. See, it just doesn't, I'm just concerned if we start pulling down like this that it's going to break loose on the top. All right, so the first time there was really gentle, and then this next time I'm being a little bit more aggressive. Okay. Actually, let's get you over here. So I am going to continue to put my fingers in front of the camera if you're on the other side of me. Okay. So I just put tack underneath it this time. It's such a thin piece, it just could use some tack. All right, did see that at the end here we need a little bit of a stretch to get this to line up. Let's see what that's looking like. It's looking like about that right there. So all we need is like 1/8 more. So let's just go ahead and get that in place. I'm gonna bump those two together, then hold right there. And then we're hanging over a little bit. Let's try not to hang over that top edge. Tedious little parts. Okay, so we're just kind of getting the face squeegeed out there, and then we're going to come back to this because this has been down for longer, and let's see if we can see those two little air pockets there. Just going to stick my finger in the material right above them, pull it back, and then squeegee those out. Okay, and then we're going to take this down now. Then do a slide chomp across that. Looks good. See if we can do the same across the top. That looks good. Let's keep on going. Okay, and then we'll get this bottom down. Another slide chomp. All right, then let's dry that out. Looks good. It's coming up a little bit right there and a little bit on the bottom. All right, there's a lot of water that's getting trapped underneath this piece of trim. So no matter how much I dry it off, it just keeps coming right back. So we're just gonna go ahead and let this be like that on the top, and then we'll come back and worry about that later during the heat sealing once everything's dried out. I'm more concerned about this bottom edge because we might bump it a little bit while we're putting on this next piece on the very bottom here. So I'm just trying to make sure that that's down as well as we can get it for now, and then that looks good. Okay, terrific. So let's wipe this bottom piece down, then I'll go grab it and we'll get it put in place. All right, well, I fibbed. I may have fibbed. Well, it's not really a fib because I didn't know. This isn't cut out yet. We'll have to check the computer for it and see where it is and why it didn't end up in with one of the other parts of the kit. Let's move on to some other part then. All right, so we're gonna take care of one of these now instead. I mean, seriously, you know what? If you're bulking parts like this, oh man, you're spending a ton of time on stuff like this that, you know, is a little bit, I mean, look, this is going to fit great, and it's going to be some great coverage on this tiny little piece. It's going to be really hard to get in here with a blade, you know, unless you're removing these. The kit is definitely the way to go on a part like this. Okay, we're moving around a lot, so I'm going to go ahead and throw some tack in there just to help us be able to squeegee this out. So you see I've got my fingers on it, you see I can still move it around, and that's because I'm not really putting pressure on the material, just enough that I'm able to make it move. You know, obviously, just like down here, it's going to stick really quickly if it gets some pressure on it. Okay, let's go ahead and try squeegeeing this out. I'm going to have to find a position or a direction to go on this that feels comfortable and gets good pressure on the whole piece. Okay, let's get this top part now. Okay, and then we'll just continue to work our way around. Although it's going to get really hard to work in here with this squeegee. Because this marker light, or whatever the heck that thing is, fog light? I don't know, it sticks out pretty far. It's not a marker light for sure, but it could be fog light. Probably is a fog light. Sticks out a ways, so it's kind of makes it hard to get down in here. I know they've got these tiny little squeegees and I have some. Let me go grab one, see if that's beneficial in this area. There it is. Put some more tack in there, and then let's see if we can use this guy. This actually will be the first time I've ever used this tool where I felt like I needed to use it. So I'm guessing I could just take my regular squeegee and cut a sliver off and be in great shape for areas like this. This is working great. I like that. Okay. Well, for a squeegee I said I would never use. Never say never, right? It's like, I don't think well, maybe I just said ever. I don't think I will ever use this. I don't see myself ever using this squeegee. This is ridiculous. Huh. Here we are. Okay. Hold this up. Okay, I'm gonna get, let's see, what do I want to put underneath there? It's like slip would be great, but not too much. So let's do a little bit of that and then a little bit of alcohol as well. And we're gonna work our way up. Kind of tack that down there with my finger Tack down there. Okay. Okay, great. This is a tool made by Fusion. But you know, I probably would, it'd be just as good to take one of my regular squeegees and cut it down. Although for as much as I use it. Now that one, okay, so I think this edge is great for this, with this little tool. More tack in there now, just some straight tack without any slip. Let's see if that's helpful. Okay. Remember this little squeegee I said was ridiculous and I probably never use it or wouldn't probably, yeah. Great. Great right here. Okay. Well. Take it back. It's got a purpose. Alright, so right here we're hanging over just the tiniest bit, which means we could have probably brought this whole pattern down just a little bit further and this wouldn't be hanging over. And what I'm going to do with that part is either it's going to go down when I heat seal, and if that doesn't work, then I will be just trimming it off and getting rid of that little part that's hanging over. I'll worry about that later. And I will try not to make the same mistake on the other side. Let's see. Yeah, I guess technically it could have come down just a tiny bit more. And that would have taken care of that. All right, terrific. What else? All right, now that this is cut out, let's get this installed. Just kind of keep looking back, make sure that doesn't start falling off over there. You stay there. All right, let's go ahead and get this in place. I want to make sure that we don't come up too high and bump into this piece of material. So right about there should be good. I'd say this, leaving the smallest gap you can would be a perfect placement for this. Okay, and then I'm going to actually come over to tack down all the way around this first recess here. Just making sure that this is staying lined up here on top. Okay, so first I want to go ahead and get all this to stay down. It's water again. Yeah, I don't know. I want to use tack solution. Well, they seem to be working fairly similarly, but just like my tack. All right. There we go. That's all down. Now let's get this part taken care of here. Let's see if we can, hopefully you can see that pretty well. All right, so you can see here, we just have this little shape in here. That's gonna push right out though. So that actually it's gonna, this recesses into here pretty well. It did create a couple fingers down here, but those fortunately just pushed right out. Let's just make sure we've got all the water out of there. Kind of a weird angle to be laying down here working on it, so just double check you're not leaving any moisture behind. Also take a look at these sides, make sure that they're all stuck down underneath while you're down here. I'm gonna go ahead and stretch all the way across now. Well, there is a little bit of stretch to this, so we probably could have tacked this down and then stretched, and that probably would have eliminated those fingers that came up, but they were easy enough to push down, so no harm, no foul there, I guess. So just by holding it down right there with my fingers and putting some pressure on it, I was able to get it to stick down, you know, like basically just pre-tacked where my fingers were holding it. It just helps the install be a little bit easier. And that's just basically, that's going to be the type of material that you're using, as well as how much soap you have in your slip solution. Like we all know, if you've watched my videos, I run a bit tacky, so okay. So we're gonna go ahead and start over here and squeegee this out. Okay, and these I'm just going to kind of push out as much as I can. Yeah, look at that. Now when we push them out, it doesn't really get any fingers. So if you tack at the very end, stretch all the way over, then you probably won't get those fingers next to these recesses. All right, I'm just getting the bulk of it down, and then we're gonna go back and double check these now, these recesses. All right, next to them, onto this one. All right, great. That piece went on really well. Other than having to lay on the ground, that part's not so good. And while we're down here, we'll just move on to the next couple pieces that are low like this. Now I forgot which side is the tacky side. Which is the adhesive side? Okay. So go ahead and start on one of these ends here. And what we want is to make sure that we're not hanging over on the front edge here. So that's going to be the most important edge, and then the back will just end up where it ends up. All right, squeegee this out. And then we'll take this back. All right. Now let's go over to the other side. See what kind of stretch this needs. It's basically no stretch, but let's make sure that we don't stretch it. So let's just tack that in place now. And then we'll know we need no stretch coming from the other side. So even if you put a little bit too much pressure on it with your squeegee, you can definitely easily stretch the material this much, and then it's going to be too long for this piece for how they have it set up. Okay, come on, work with me, baby. I keep going over the edge just a little bit, and I don't want to hang over the edge. Okay, right there.
This is not coming out very good. This is really effed up.
All right, I'm gonna throw some tack underneath this material, and then let's see how that rolls down. We don't want to overhang like I've been saying. So right there is good. Let's see how that goes now. Yeah, I mean, if you were to make this front edge hang over, you're just going to make yourself more work. You're going to have to go trim that off. Let's not do that to ourselves. Okay, so we're going to swipe that body line down. And gently drag this down. Then let's go backwards with it here. Okay. All right, and then we'll swipe this back. Just making sure we keep everything off of this edge. You know, you want to make sure and go back over that again while you're pushing this down. Let's see if we can do a little slide chomp on it. That worked pretty good too once the front's stuck down. So you have to use a decent amount of pressure with a slide chomp. Okay, that looks really good. Let's move on to this piece. Looks like it's popping up right there just a little bit, so just keep an eye out for stuff like that. So when you're squeegeeing, that you're not like pulling that up. All right, so let's get this one on now. You know, I enjoy making these videos and helping people. You know, something I miss though is I miss the radio. Or I used to watch documentaries while I worked, and then I'd also listen to podcasts. I also miss having conversations with people. I had to skip a lot of that when I'm recording. Otherwise I gotta go back and edit it out. Anyway, so we just lining this up. I was just lining this bottom up and this side up, and then I had a little tack underneath there, little tack solution. So let's go ahead and squeegee all that out. But I do, you know, from the comments and stuff, I do know the videos are appreciated, and that, you know, that's all I'm trying to do here. If the videos aren't helpful, then I quit making them. All right, so we're doing a little bit of stretch here to help get rid of some of this finger here, and then we're going to know that that is going to make this part pop up, and that's fine because we will work with that in a moment here. All right, so let's get this front down first. All right, let's make sure we're not hanging over the edge here though. You see how I kind of hold it with my finger here, and then I position the next part, and then I hold it with my finger. You know, that's just how a good way to go about lining things up, so that you're not just doing like tiny little sections. You know, we got a little bit more there. I got double, right? The amount I was able to line up. Now let's make sure I'm not overstretching this. Okay, and that actually looks like it's good right there. It's definitely not going to need any more tugging or stretching on that part. Then we're going to go ahead and, well, let's start up here though. Did we squeegee all this out? I can't remember. Make sure we're getting that body line. I'm going to take this down. Oh, it stayed down. Great. Didn't even have to hold it in place. Okay, and then we'll just keep working our way around. I'd say this bottom part is the most important part to get lined up real well. Same with that center section, huh? We don't be hanging over. Alright, so with some tack solution underneath there, you can see I'm able to kind of just position that and then give it a good squeegee out. Okay. Okay, so let's go on this body line here. We're kind of popping up, aren't we? A little bit. Okay, let's get some tack in there. See if we can get this to stay down in a couple spots. This part was all tacked down, so let's go ahead and get above it. Okay, and then to right here, we're gonna need to now split back up again. So we're getting the bottom down, then let's go ahead and get some of this top down, and then let's leave ourselves a little bit of room here on the corner, just in case we need to work a finger out to one side or the other. Okay, since this is popping up, we're gonna just leave that part. We're gonna work up the body line part, and then we're gonna come down. Like that. Now we can bring this over. Okay, great. I completely forgot about making sure I don't mess up this black part, or the part that's on here, but doesn't look like we did any damage. That's good. That stuff I told you to keep in mind, yeah. Well, you keep it in mind. I'm gonna forget and then just do whatever I want. All right, great. Next. All right, well, while we're at it, let's go ahead and get this chrome part. I'm gonna get just a little bit of tack on there as well. And then on the other side, I already did the other side. I started in the middle here next to the Toyota emblem, and I didn't like how this lined up at the end, so I want to see what they want us to do with this. So we're going to go ahead and start over here and then work our way the other direction. And I think instead of trying to, because basically what I did is I worked all the way to here, and then I was like, ooh, well, that's a little bit off, and then I had to turn it this way, and then it had some fingers here. So we're just going to go ahead and start here this time and see what we can do with it. I think that'd be a better place to start. Okay, so we're down. I wrapped just down over this little, there's a little body line there that the material wraps over. And let's take this part up. So this is just riding right on that edge. It does not wrap into there. Okay, let's see. Now let's work our way up to here real quick, just on the face, because we do need some stretching. So let's take care of that and get rid of that finger, and that'll help us lay that area down. Which has now made us way too long over here, but we can work with that. It was all that stretch I just used to get rid of that finger. So maybe, well, what do we want to do? Nah, let's just deal with it. I'll just cut that off with scissors. Is that going to make this real tight? A little bit. Let's go ahead and bring some of that back then and see what we can do. All right, that's looking good. So let's just see if we can get some finger off the top, off the face. Just bringing right back. Okay, definitely not wanting to stick real well to the chrome with just the tack or the slip solution. So we'll add some tack into there. All right. Let's lay that back in place, and then we'll come back and we'll take care of this here. Okay, that looks good, and then we're just finish working our way up and around. First I want to get around this bend here, and then we'll work on getting the rest of this down. Okay, great. Now we definitely don't want to add any more stretching to this. We just want to lay it in place. So it's just placement now. All right, we'll go to about there. Squeegee the face off. A little more tack in here. I still end up putting a little bit of stretch on it. Look at that. Should have just left it the first time. Gonna have to cut it off regardless. Now when I started it the other direction, I actually didn't have to do any trimming when I started over here and went this way. But that's not to say that that couldn't have easily happened. So let's go ahead and get the rest of this down and at least get the face down on this all the way across. And then actually we'll probably leave like just the last little bit here off so that we can cut that with some scissors and then lay it back down. Okay, so to right there. Okay, now let me grab some scissors and we'll cut that part off. And it's nice with the scissors because you can get a real, straight, even cut. A lot of times when I try to snip that off with the blade, you can get real jagged and stuff. So I like the scissors for situations like this. And look at that, it lines up beautifully. All right, you know what, let's go one more too. I saw this piece up there. Let's see how this goes on. It's fairly flat. I mean, you can tell it's got a little bit of, curve to it, but it's fairly flat. So let's get some tack in there. It's really slipping around. All right. Put in a little bit of stretch from left to right, and that helps get rid of some of the fingers in there. Put some slip on the outside, and then we'll go ahead and squeegee this out. So I'm gonna go across the center and then work my way up and down. Let's see. It is just barely hanging over the bottom, just barely, so it's because there's a lot of moisture sitting in there, so it is pulling that moisture back up and it's allowing it to pop up. So let's take care of that in a minute. Okay, so first let's do some more tack. Make sure we've got all the slip squeegeed out of there. And we'll go over this. Let's get some of that moisture out. It's just coming back though. All right. That looks good, and then heat seal will finish that up and that's set. All right, well, that's the process of doing the extra pieces on the XSE. Hope you found that helpful. If you did, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.